Yes, Ms. Sigel.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, just before the adjournment, I was going to move on to October 2021. I'm not sure if the commissioners still want to deal with June. Brigadier, you indicated that after June 2021, you then next heard about the Portshepstone premises where the exhibits were being kept in October 2021 when Lieutenant Colonel Prinsloo calls you about an attempted break-in at the premises. Is that correct?
It was in October.
Yes, in October 2021.
That's correct.
And what does he tell you during that conversation about the attempted break-in?
I cannot state the exact word, but he said to me there has been an attempted breaking into the office, and he started to have concern about the exhibits.
Can you just tell us, in relation to where the exhibits were being kept in the strong room, where was this attempted break-in?
It was directed at the offices, not at the place where the storerooms were.
Okay, and was anything taken?
No, it was an attempted.
Okay, and were they able to enter into the premises, or their attempts didn't succeed?
As far as I know, that they didn't enter the premises.
And how were they attempting to enter the premises?
If I'm not mistaken, I think the window was broken.
Do you recall at whose office it was?
No, I can't. No.
And you didn't go out there to go and look at the premises after that attempted break-in?
I was on leave when the call was made to me.
Okay. We know that when the theft occurred in November, access was gained through Warrant Officer Pinar's office, correct?
That's correct.
Is this all Msizi's office at the same section as where the attempted break-in was attempted?
Commissioners, I cannot recall now. I cannot be specific.
Okay. So when he reports the attempted break-in to you, what he says to you, he says for the first time at that stage that he's got concerns about the safety of the exhibits, and
yes,
specifically the suspected drugs.
Yes.
And does he make a suggestion as to what should happen now that there has been the attempted break-in?
I don't recall, but I called the IO.
No, I'm just still on the conversation between you and Colonel Prinsloo.
I think he wanted us to move the exhibits.
You think, or did he say it?
I think he said that.
You think he told you in that conversation that the exhibits must be moved?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your proposal to him?
Hence, I called Jacob. I relayed the message. I told Jacob there has been an attempted break-in, that he must speed up the investigation, meaning that he must finalize and get the exhibit out of Portshepstone for destruction.
Okay. I didn't understand your evidence to be that the reason why you called Colonel Jacob and made the suggestion about speeding up the investigation so the exhibits can be moved was because it was suggested by Colonel Prinsloo that the exhibits must be moved.
There's what?
I'd never understood your evidence to be that your discussion with Colonel Jacob that he must speed up the investigation so that the exhibits can be moved to FSL came from Colonel Prinsloo's suggestion that the exhibits must be moved. You never mentioned previously that it was Colonel Prinsloo that suggested the exhibits must be moved. Am I wrong? If am wrong,
you're quite correct. I told Jacob that he must move the exhibits.
Yes, but earlier on you just said that Prince Lou also said that told you that the exhibits must be moved. That's the first time I hear that from you, so that's why I want clarity on, is this a new version?
I might be wrong, but he was concerned about the exhibit. That's why I'm assuming that he wanted them to be removed.
Okay, but he doesn't say that in the conversation. He just tells you he's concerned about it. Is there at any point a discussion about enhancing the security at the premises in light of the attempted break-in between you and Colonel Prinsloo?
I think we did have that conversation. And on the other side, Jacob had to see that the exhibits are out of that office.
Brigadier, earlier this morning you said when you suggested the Portshepstone office, you knew that the exhibits will only be stored there for a short period. And that's one of the reasons you gave, and that's why you had a sense of comfort.
Yes.
It is now end of October. 4 months since the exhibits were at Portshepstone. That's no longer a short-term period.
It's true, commissioners, but if the commissioners can remember that after July, I was also focusing on this civil unrest. It really distracted me on my normal police duties.
Now you get told in October, Colonel Prinsloo rather says to you, I'm concerned about the safety of this exhibit in the strong room. So it is clear to you that after the break-in, he expresses this concern. Do you not then call other stations to check whether they now have capacity to store these exhibits? Knowing that, because I assume you must have known that there's no 24-hour security at Portshepstone, because if it had been there, this break-in probably would not have happened. You have all these facts now. You know that exhibits have been there for 4 months. There is this break-in. There is no security at these premises. The commander, the superior at Portshepstone says to you, I'm concerned about the safety of these exhibits. And you say in your statement, all you do is you tell Jacob to speed up the investigation so that these things can be sent to FSL. But at no point do you say, let me see if there are other stations that are A, secure and have capacity to store these exhibits. Can we put this down as another oversight on your part?
I admit, commissioners, if you were in my shoes with the unrest matters, this was really taking most of my time.
And to be fair to you, sitting here, we have the benefit of hindsight. And it's easy to say to you, you could have done this, you could have done that, you could have done that. So the purpose of my questioning is really to test whether you thought about these things and what you did about them. I am not imputing foresight on your part and suggesting that you should have known that the drugs were going to be stolen. That's not the purpose or the reason for my questions. I'm just trying to understand whether you thought about these other things.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Can I put this to you just for to hear your comment? It seems to me, on the basis of your evidence, that things turned in such a way that General Sinona became the last person with a say-so over all of this transaction of the drugs, the investigation, what gets to be done. Is that a fair reflection that he became in charge of it?
Yes, commissioners, because he had the keys.
Yeah.
And I was busy he knew, because I was reporting to him every day of what was going on the civil unrest matters. And the country was waiting for us to bring results,
yes,
which we did at the end of the day.
Yes, I say so not only because he had the key, but you tell us that on the 23rd, for example, he asked you to, he instructed you to call Colonel Prinsloo and tell him that Mpangase was going to go there to take samples. You remember that?
Yes.
So from that, it means Mpangase didn't come to you to say, I need to go and take samples.
No, he didn't.
Please arrange for Prinsloo to open for me. In fact, he dealt directly with General Sinona.
That's true, Commissioners.
And you had no role to play there. If that is so, at which point, or did you at any point remain to have a say over what happens with these exhibits?
Honestly, I can't recall, Commissioners. Besides that, the only person that was communicating with me was Lieutenant Colonel Prinsloo.
So, Lieutenant Colonel?
Prinsloo,
Yes.
yes. On October, on the 8th, he was talking to me.
Yes. I guess what I'm checking with you is whether what in fact continued to be your role and authority, maybe specifically, what authority did you still have in respect of these exhibits and the investigation and everything else that was happening with it?
Absolutely none, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Brigadier, you said that you informed General Sinona of the attempted break-in, correct?
Yes, I did report to him. And
Why did you inform him of that, of the attempted break-in?
He is a provincial head, and he needs to know of the security breaches in the DPCI offices.
In General Sinona's statement that he made in the theft investigation, he doesn't mention that you had informed him about the attempted break-in in October 2021. He just deals with your conversation on the 8th of November 2021, on the day that the theft was discovered. Are you sure that you did inform him of it? And if you did, what was his reaction to you informing him of the attempted break-in?
I informed him and I told him what I told Jacob.
And what did he say?
He accepted that.
He accepted what? Your
My
plan?
explanation that I told Jacob to speed up the investigation.
So you inform him about the attempted break-in. He says, you say, but we have a plan, or how does the conversation go? I'm trying to understand whether it is just you reporting as a matter of course, or are you looking for direction as to what are we going to do with this, with what has just occurred? What is it that you're looking for from him by informing him of the break-in?
In my mind, I thought maybe he will maybe make some attempts to also assist.
By doing what?
To get the exhibit out of Portshepstone.
But you don't ask him.
No, I did not ask him.
So he wouldn't know that that is something that you would want him to do, to use his seniority to perhaps get an expedited move to FSL. You don't have the discussion with him, though.
But commissioners, he's the provincial head. The problem has been tabled before him.
Yes, I understand that, Brigadier, but it's the same criticism could then be leveled at you as well. When your juniors report something to you and you make the proposal that you made that, just speed up the investigation and so that the exhibits can be moved. It's also inadequate. So I'm just trying to understand why, when it is you are being told by your juniors about a problem and you give either no direction or inadequate direction, you are able to excuse that. But when it comes to General Sinona, it seems that you're saying, well, he's the ultimate call. He should have known to make the suggestion. Isn't that unfair to say that he should have known at that stage? You're not telling him anything. You're saying to him, you've got it under control. You're not asking for intervention from him.
I do understand your questioning, but I don't want to go back to say that he himself knew what I was busy with. Although I was on leave because of me being tired of what I was doing, just taking a break, I think he should have assisted me.
Okay. Did you have the kind of working relationship with him where you felt that you could be open with him to make those kind of requests? Or was it a situation where you knew that even if you had asked for it, he wouldn't have acceded to your request? I'm just trying to understand, because there is now this issue where he's not acknowledging that you reported the attempted break-in to him. You say that you did, but you say you were merely informing him, but then you say you also thought that he would give direction, but you never really asked him for direction or intervention.
Yes, I did not ask for direction.
So the reporting was just to let him know that it happened?
Yes.
Okay, and there was nothing further that he needed to do from your side, other than if he had proactively suggested something?
But as my superior, I would think that when something like this is reported to him, he should assist.
Okay. And also in your mind, that assistance wouldn't have been enhanced security. It would have been to move the exhibits for him to use his seniority to move the exhibits to FSL.
Yes.
So when Jacob then tells you that he did speak to FSL and they don't have capacity, did you think of going back then to General Sinona and say, my plan is actually not going to work because FSL says that they still don't have capacity?
Commissioners are online there. I can't remember.
You can't remember?
Yes.
Let me just understand. You can't remember going back to General Sinona?
Yes.
Okay. Now, after that, Jacob doesn't report back to you about whether, so he says to you that they don't have space, they still don't have space, and he mentions this thing about taking additional bricks for sampling.
Yes.
What did you understand him to mean by that, about the additional bricks? And can you recall what exactly, or more or less what he said to you in that conversation?
For taking additional samples?
Yes. Did he say why he needed to do it?
Apparently, the samples that were forwarded earlier on, I think they were flooded, but I also think that the FSL should have told us in good time so that exercise can be done speedily.
It wasn't, we don't know when it was flooded, but at that stage he didn't know anything about it being flooded, even if it was. His reasoning at that stage was that FSL had told him that they would need additional bricks in order to do the analysis. So the weight of the bricks and to do the additional sampling. Did he mention any of that to you?
I remember, but it wasn't in detail like you are putting it, Advocate. But he told me that they needed additional samples.
Okay. And did he tell you whether there was a plan in place to obtain that additional samples and who would be taking those additional samples?
No.
You just assumed because he's experienced, it would be dealt with in the correct
speedily
manner. notwithstanding that up until that point, they hadn't really been doing anything by the book in any event.
Yes.
Okay. So after that, you back on your regular duties dealing with the civil unrest.
That's correct.
Okay. And you next get involved when you get a report from Colonel Prinsloo that the exhibits have been stolen. There's been a break-in.
Remember, there were elections. We were all posted to work on election duties.
Yes, but
And then when I came back, then I continued with the civil unrest matters. And on the 8th in the morning, Lieutenant Colonel Prinsloo called me and told me that there has been a break-in.
okay. And then you say that you speak to Colonel Jacob, tell him that he must go because he's the investigating officer related to the exhibits themselves, right? The seizure of the exhibits.
That's correct.
So he needs to go there. And then there are other people that you also contact, but ultimately you and General Sinona go to the scene at Portshepstone.
That's correct.
Okay. And when you arrived at the scene, there were already investigators present from general detectives. You said that you called Brigadier Sabia.
Oh, yes. I called Brigadier Sibia and General Ngamangele, the district commissioner.
So, as you say in your statement, it was a shock to you that the safe had been breached, and when you looked at it and you saw the cutouts, that was a shock to you that it seemed that the safe had been breached by grinding it.
Yes.
Okay. I don't see anywhere in any of your statements as part of the theft investigation where you mention that you had been told by the landlord that the safe can't be breached in that manner and can only be accessed with the keys. Did you ever disclose that information during the theft investigation?
I never disclosed that. And, I was also shocked whether the information I had was correct or not. But now that I was preparing for my notices, I said, let me just say it, but I don't know whether it's worth it or not.
But it would seem to me to be a very important aspect of an investigation. Because if indeed that is what you had been told, then there could be a possibility that the scene had been staged, and that is something that the investigators should know, and for them to investigate that angle as well, the possibility that the scene had been staged and that the safe had actually been accessed with the key. Don't you think that would have been important for the investigators to know?
I think so, but honestly, those investigators never sat with us, me. The only time they would come, like, I gave the statement and then they came with a set of questions. It was not like getting to understand because I'm the previous unit commander there. Did I know anything? No, there was nothing.
And by investigators, are you speaking about the DPCI investigators?
Yes, the
Okay.
DPCI investigators.
Had you ever spoken to the general detective investigators?
Remember, the general detective, I do not know. The period was very short for them to have the docket.
Yes, but my question is, did you ever speak to them as part of the investigation? Did they ever interview you as part of the investigation before it was
No.
taken away from them?
No. Maybe they were still coming, but the docket was taken away from them.
Okay, so you only ever spoke to the DPCI investigators. They were the only ones that interviewed you.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And you say that there wasn't a real engagement on the issues, that was more just a question and answer session.
Yes.
Okay. But you're saying that you would have volunteered the information at that stage had you been engaged at that level, or what is the
Yes,
significance?
I would if people sat with me and asked me about the security features on that in that office, but that never happened.
And other than what the landlord told you, were there any observations that you made on the scene, being an investigator yourself, that maybe made you suspicious that it could be a stage scene, other than what you knew about what the landlord told you?
Commissioners have said that I'm not an expert, but I was surprised to see what I saw.
Yes, but your surprise, as I understand from your evidence earlier, was because of what the landlord told you. I'm asking about from your observations as an investigator. Is there anything that you observed on the scene that maybe gave you some kind of suspicion that maybe it was staged?
At that point, I cannot tell you because I was shocked. I was really shocked.
Okay, and then those investigators that were at the investigators, the DPCI investigators, weren't on the scene on the day of that you discovered the theft when you were at the scene, right?
No, they were not.
Were any of the general detectives besides Brigadier Sabia there? So was Jones there?
The district commissioner was there.
So it was only Sabia. None of the investigators who actually investigated the matter were there on the scene on the day that the theft was discovered.
I cannot remember. Remember also, me and General Sinona, we left early because we had scheduled interviews. So they might have come after I've left.
Okay. You said you had a conversation with General Mosikiri, who at the time was the Deputy National Head.
Yes.
During that conversation, she indicated to you that the DPCI head office would be investigating the theft.
Yes, I think it's also noted in my statement.
Yes, but you said that General Sinona also told you that the general detectives will investigate until senior management makes a final decision.
That was at the crime scene.
Yes. And then you get told by General Mosikiri that it's now going to be investigated by DPCI.
Yes.
And do you know who from senior management made that decision, that it be moved from general detectives to DPCI?
No, I can't. Maybe General Sinona will be able to give light to that.
You do mention it in your statement, but you don't tell her, and you say it's effectively the DPCI is investigating itself, correct?
Yes.
That's yes. The DPCI is investigating itself. The head office is investigating DPCI.
It was head office was investigating the breaking at the DPCI. Yes, I agree with you.
Okay. And in your opinion, were you in agreement with that? I know it wasn't asked of you, given your seniority, I assume, but were you in agreement with that decision that DPCI should investigate itself?
Commissioners, I can't oppose what the decisions of my superiors.
Yes, I'm asking your personal opinion, not voicing it. I'm not suggesting that you should have or had the space to voice it, but sitting now and at the time.
Maybe they should have mixed people or give it to independent people. Yeah.
So it's not really a concern for you that DPCI was investigating itself, or was it a concern but you just couldn't voice it because there wasn't space for you to do so?
That's a tough question.
Can I just ask us?
It's a really a tough one.
Brigadier,
Because it will, sorry, ma'am.
please carry on. Finish what you're saying.
Now, because now I would be looked at opposing the decision by my senior. So I'll go with the decision by them.
If you wanted to continue this, I'll let you. Okay. All right. Brigadier, it's about the now you're at the crime scene. This is on the 8th of November. Yes, you're at the crime scene. You say in paragraph 45, I must state that when I observed the scene, I was shocked that the safe had been breached, but more than that, I was skeptical that the safe had been breached by grinding the door. What was your there and then on the scene as you looked at it and you're skeptical about what you're seeing? What did you think would have happened here?
It was unbelievable. If you look at the thickness of the door.
Yes.
And although I'm not an expert, the mechanism of the safe itself, after you know that it cannot be, how did it happen? Maybe it was someone who was working with the safes, I don't know. But I was really shocked.
Okay. Did you, and I accept that you're not an expert, and hopefully we'll get an expert who can comment on it, but you had been told previously that the door cannot be breached. It necessarily would have to be opened with a key, right? Yes. Did it cross your mind that a key would have been used to open the door when you were there and then on the scene? Did it cross your mind without suggesting who, as you stood there, without thinking, so-and-so must have opened, looks like may have opened the door because it cannot be breached safely?
It was hard for me to think in that line, Commissioner, because I knew the safe key was in Durban, far away from Portshepstone.
So are you saying you discounted that the key could have been used?
Hence, I'm saying the only people that can tell us are the experts.
Well, we know this key was going in and out of General Sinona's office. We know that fact. The first time is the 23rd of June. We've heard from other evidence that Mbangase kept taking it in and out. So we know that it didn't sit tight in Durban with General Sinona. And so I'm asking you the question with that context, that we know on the 23rd it left Durban and went to Portshepstone, was used in Portshepstone. So it couldn't be that if you had been told by the landlord that this door can only be opened with a key, it's not capable of being breached, that as you stood there, you did not entertain that possibility that someone of our officers may well have opened it if your view or what you had accepted, that it was not breachable.
Tough one again, Commissioner.
I ask you this question because I want to suggest for your comment,
yes,
that you may not have mentioned to the investigators in your statement, yes, or even there at the scene, you may not have mentioned this conversation with the landlord about the door being unbreachable because you were uncomfortable about the consequences of mentioning it. Consequences as in the implication of it. Because if there and then on the spot, and I think you would have been aware of that if there and then on the spot, you said, but the landlord said, this door is not breachable and can only be opened by a key,
Yeah.
you were aware of the implications of what you're saying, that you're saying one of your colleagues, including General Sinona, must have had something to do with the opening. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I can't say that, Commissioner. So
Yes.
I can't.
Well, what do you mean you can't say that?
I can't say, yes, the location of the safe and the way things happen, I do suspect that someone within us
Yes.
leaked information.
Leaked information about the drugs being there.
Yes. I say this because, as I said earlier on, there are two safes. How the suspect will know this is the one?
Yes. Well, you're not the first one to say it. I think even General Snona, when he testified, he did say that someone, because it was widely known, according to him, members knew that there was this suspected cocaine in the safe there, because it didn't become a secret. People knew about it. So I think there's no surprise about someone knew and someone shared the information. The question really is, did any of your members have anything to do with the breach itself? Especially considering you saying that it could only be opened with a key. And the suggestion there, maybe let me complete my thought, is it may well be that the door was in fact open. You're talking about it being staged, and my reading of that statement of yours is that the door was open and then the grinding is the staged part, because your landlord had told you this can only be opened with a key. So where in your statement you say you thought this looks like it may well have been staged, the implication of that statement is someone used the key to open it.
Yes. At least if I have the report by the expert, then I can confirm and say yes.
Yes.
But with me not having it, I'm unable.
Yes. I know you can't confirm it as a fact, but what I'm trying to get from you is, do you appreciate and understand that when you say it looked like it was staged? Remember, we know there was grind. It was, yeah. I have to be careful of my English. Is it ground or grinded? Yes, one of those. So when you say you thought it looks like it may have been staged, I'm trying to remember there. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Brigadier, because this is quite a serious thing. So I wouldn't want it to be attributed to you unfairly if that's not what you were saying. You say, I would have expected the DPCI investigators to have investigated the possibility that the scene was staged and obtain an expert opinion on whether the cuts we observed could have indeed resulted in the safe being breached. So with that statement, it seems, my understanding of your saying that is you did not discount that what it looked like is not in fact what happened, may not be what happened. Someone may well have opened the safe. Is that a fair representation?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you just confirm this? I don't want you to speculate. I want you to just say what I observed. This is what it looked like to me. So, and because that's your observation, it may well be wrong. It may well be inconsistent with what actually happened. But from your observation, did it look like the door was opened because there was grinding that resulted in the door being opened? Just your observation, because you are an investigator of many years, 38 years as a policeman. just looking at it, what did it look like to you?
Commissioner, I could not believe what I saw there.
Can you answer it in the positive, not in the negative, please?
No, what I saw, I could not believe it, but hence I don't have anything to back me up. I'm unable to confirm with you, Commissioner.
Yes, but you're saying you can't back it up because you don't have an expert report.
Yes.
I'm not
I
asking
don't
you.
know. Maybe the investigators do have it because in the DPCI also we work on the need to know.
Brigadier, in the interest of time, just focus only on what you observed.
Okay.
Not what the experts would say if they had the opportunity to give evidence. I mean, we've heard stories of people coming in here and say, I mean, looking at that chair, it looks to me like somebody used a knife to cut it. That's not normal wear and tear. Now you're making an observation as a
Yes.
human being. That's the sort of information I'm expecting from you to say, when I got there and I saw this door, this was my observation.
But also, Brigadier, you don't comment as a normal human being that I am. You are an experienced detective whose job is to interrogate things that I see at face value when I arrive and I see things. You have better insight from your training and experience. So you're being asked to comment with that in mind, that you're an experienced and quite seriously experienced detective. When you see that scene, what do you think? I know you say you're skeptical, but Commissioner Kumalo is asking you to speak more positively. What do you think when you get there, when you look at that scene?
Maybe a bit of both.
Explain?
The staging might have been there. Also, if the mechanical, if they had the expert to breach the locking mechanical, could have also be positive that they were able to open. But to me, I still don't believe. I'm unable to answer this question. Commissioners, if you may pardon me on this.
Okay.
I noticed that you are reluctant to deal with the issue of the key because you are scared that if you respond to Commissioner Baloy's question, it will create the impression that General Sinona either opened the safe or gave somebody the key to open the safe. But there's another possibility here. With that key going up and down from Durban to Portshepstone, it's possible that a junior officer could have created another duplicate, and that other duplicate could have been used. So don't discount the possibility that somebody actually did open the safe and the grinding happened, as you suspect, simply to stage the scene. Because you seem to be reluctant to associate General Sinona.
No, I'm not reluctant. It's just that if I don't have evidence, I can't say something and say, I don't want to say it's him. I'm saying, but what I saw and what I know from the landlord, I was a bit hesitant as to what exactly transpired.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brigadier, just to say that you must have entertained the possibility that the scene was staged then and there when you were at the scene, because you can't have it both ways. You couldn't have relied on the safe being impenetrable in order to suggest it as the place where the drugs should be kept because you considered it to be that safe. But then when it is breached and you see it being breached without the key, not for a second think that this scene is staged. It must have crossed your mind. Correct?
Yeah. Commissioner.
There's hearing and then they're saying if I'm correct or not.
Commissioners, please pardon me on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, do you have an idea where the door is today? Where
Commissioner?
the door, the safe door, do you have an idea whether it has been kept because the investigation is still ongoing or it's been disposed of?
You know, I don't know exactly. I was so distant from this investigation. I really don't know what happened to the door.
Can I say that I have the discomfort that on something so serious where you must appreciate because of the way in which it played and your role in the way it played out, that you must appreciate that you would be one of the people that are maybe considered suspects, as in what was his role, questions being asked about your own involvement in this. And the concern is, notwithstanding that, you seem to have played an arm's length role or assumed an arm's length role to how things played out, even after the theft, that you don't know what happened, and there's a lot of I don't know. And when you ask the question about why did you not mention your suspicion or your skepticism in the investigation, you did not mention it. It creates a disquiet about it, that on something so serious, someone so senior is content, is testifying to say, well, I once the stuff was stolen, I left it to others and it had nothing more to do with it.
Yes, I do understand.
You understand that concern?
Yes, I do understand.
Okay, thank you.
But I was not involved.
My co-commissioners and indeed Ms. Sigels have touched on this issue. You were of the view that, or rather you were skeptical, I think that's the word you used, and thought that this was staged. Part of the break-in was staged because the lessor, I prefer lessor to landlord, because the lessor had said the safe could not be breached without a key. Now you have that skepticism, if not suspicion. Were you afraid of General Sinona, that you were not direct and voiced your suspicion, and scared of him because you knew that the keys, except for the times that someone else would take them for a while, the keys were otherwise always with him? Were you scared of him to voice your suspicion, or for not voicing your suspicion?
Commissioners, it was very difficult for me.
Were you scared of him?
If I say this, then people will say I'm suspecting someone, then my life is in danger. Where do I put myself as a...
So your mind, I'm not sure what to make of that. So did the thought ever cross your mind, or the thought never crossed your mind? I'm not saying you suspected him. There's a difference between suspecting him and merely saying. But the owner said this cannot be breached without a key. Yeah. I mean, also bear in mind that it's not as if 100% of the time, the key was always with General Sinona. It would be with other people, and apparently for fairly long periods of time. In the sense, for example, if you go there to properly bag exhibits, that is, place them in bags, you are going to be there for a while. And if you go there to take samples, maybe it won't be as long as when you go there to bag the exhibits. But still, there were times when other people would have the keys for some time. So it would not necessarily be that you are suspecting General Sinona. Do you get what I mean?
I do understand you.
So your point about, if you were to raise the suspicion, you would automatically be making General Sinona a suspect is not necessarily true. So that takes me back again to my question. Was your failure to mention your suspicion or skepticism because of your fear of General Sinona, purely because he also handled the key? That does not automatically translate to him being the suspect, no. But was it because you feared him? Because of your knowledge of the fact that he kept the key?
I think, commissioners, I should have mentioned this.
We know that. We know you didn't. And,
Yes, I didn't.
and perhaps you should have. But I'm interested to know what it is that made you not to mention it.
I said to the commissioners that when I got there, from what I've been told and what now I see, I didn't know whether I had the right information or not.
What did you not know exactly? That is, what information might possibly not have been right information? Is it the lessor's information?
Information that the safe could not be accessed without.
So you started doubting that?
Doubting.
Why are you mentioning that so late in the day?
No, but I think I said that earlier on, that even, I think it's Commissioner Kumali, he asked me where I was. I did mention that.
Oh, okay, all right. Are you still on this?
I'm going to move to the next topic, Chair, so if you want to continue, you may.
Okay. Will you be touching on the question of whose instruction it was for the exhibits to be taken to Portshepstone? Because if you are not, I will ask questions on
You
that.
may ask it.
Yes. I don't quite see what I'm going to engage you on in your latest consolidated statement that you led through. But in your 20-page statement, in your 24-page statement, you seem to lay some emphasis on this point. I will take you to paragraphs 3.1 and 3.2 of that statement. There you deny what Colonel Prinsloo says, which is that you instructed him regarding getting the storage facility in Portshepstone ready for the exhibits. You say that it was not your instruction and that it was General Sinona's instruction. And you make the point in those two paragraphs that all that you did was to make a suggestion to General Sinona that the exhibits be taken to Portshepstone. and that it was then General Sinona's instruction that the exhibits indeed be taken there. Do you remember saying so in the 24-page statement?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm on it.
Yes. Why is it that you make that sort of emphasis? If you made the suggestion and then the instruction, even if it came from General Sinona, it was based on your suggestion, why do you emphasize the distinction between your mere suggestion and then the instruction coming from General Sinona?
I said it because when I suggested, he agreed, and then it became an instruction. Then I was.
You were merely the purveyor of an instruction from
Yes.
General Sinona.
That's what I meant to say.
Yes, but what's the big difference between the two? You made the suggestion.
Yes.
But for your suggestion, there would have not been an instruction from General Sinona. So what's the big distinction or difference that you are seeking to draw there?
I said it because if he had an alternative, I would have not continued to ask Prince to.
If who had an alternative?
I mean, my general, if he had an alternative place.
But now we know that he either did not have or he did not give. It, or he didn't suggest any. So it went by your suggestion. Everything went by or in accordance with your suggestion. So what I'm trying to establish is why emphasize the distinction between you merely suggesting and then the instruction coming from the general. What was the big difference there?
Okay. You know, commissioners, when I wrote this, I was writing on my own. When I consulted with the evidence leaders, they also pick up that. Then that is why they advised me to write this statement. So.
Okay, let me just look at paragraph 32, because in the consolidated statement you deal with it at paragraph 32. I just want to see the difference in substance there. I'm not suggesting that there isn't. I see there that you say you made the suggestion and then General Sinona agreed and instructed you to instruct Lieutenant Colonel Prinsloo to prepare the safe for the exhibits. This actually captures what I had in mind, which was the big difference, because you made a suggestion, there was an instruction, and you also instructed. So in a sense, in a sense, it actually captures the point I was making as to where exactly the big difference is. And from paragraph 32 of the new statement, it seems there isn't really. Do you agree?
I agree, commissioners.
Yeah.
Maybe my use of English, not that I was pushing things away.
I don't think it's merely the use of English. In so many ways, you say, I deny Colonel Prinsloo's allegation that I instructed you. You even put instructing, which is the participle there. You even put it in inverted commas. So it's a conscious use of language. I don't think it's a...
I note my mistake, Commissioner.
All right. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Gosnube.
Thank you, Chair. Brigadier, do you know, I know Commissioner Baloy asked you, but do you know where the door is now? If the door is still at the DPCI offices?
No, I've been there. I've never seen the door. But maybe I can ask. It's just that now I'm put on precautionary suspension.
Okay, thank you. If I can just... We've just received some photographs. I just want to discuss with Advocate Selo what she does.
Maybe before the evidence leader asks a question, let me ask this last question. When you suggested to General Sinona that the exhibits can be placed at Portshepstone, DPCI, did you mention to him that safe was unbreachable and could only be opened with a key?
No, Commissioner. I think I was also asked that question earlier on. I never.
You never told him that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. We have received some photographs, but we just want to establish if that means the door is still there now, because we've received photographs of the door in place repaired, and we just want to know if it is at the DPCI premises or whether it was done at the time of the theft. We're not sure, but there has been somebody that sent us information that to show us what the door looks like now repaired. There is a video as well, but I just need to confirm with I think it was the colonel that sent it to us, whether it is something that he took this morning or not, because we had requested that. So may I just continue with the Brigadier, and then once we've received that confirmation, we can show the recording.
Please continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Brigadier, we'll probably come back to this topic at the end. I just wanted to deal with the other matters that you have in your statement, particularly the issue about Warrant Officer Sander. And you are correct that he has corrected his evidence to the evidence leaders that you were not in the meeting in February 2024 when he was placed, when he was moved, temporarily moved by General Sinona to supply support services. He has corrected that and provided us his diary entry, which shows that you weren't one of the attendees. What I wanted to find out from you was who was acting in your position as the provincial commander when you were on leave at that time.
It can only be two. Either Colonel Velagazi or Colonel Jacob.
And we know that Colonel Jacob, according to a warrant officer, Sander was in that meeting. But would you be able to just have a look at it when we adjourn and make sure as to who it was that was acting in your position when you were on leave? Because the letter is addressed to the acting provincial commander. So that's why we wanted to know who that would have been at the time. That's the temporary placement letter of Colonel Sander.
It means I can maybe make a call to the office and find out.
That's fine. You can do that later.
Can he do this, because I was on that page? Just look at that letter and tell us if you've seen it before or if you've ever handled it. It's in Exhibit File 2 on page 475.
File 2.
But Shepstone Exhibit Bundle File 2. It's 475. Do you see that letter, Brigadier?
No, I did not, Commissioners.
No, but I'm saying, do you see the letter?
I see it now.
Yes. And it was addressed to the acting provincial commander. Do you see that?
Yes.
You say that was not you. You've never seen it before and you never handled this letter.
And I was not the acting provincial command. It should have said through the provincial command. Yes.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. So you will inquire as to who was who was acting in your position at that time.
I will have to.
Maybe if you look at the corner, bottom right hand, someone has signed for acknowledgement. I can't read that name. Doesn't that assist?
That would have been Warrant Officer Sand acknowledging receipt of
The
that.
recipient.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, I want us to just I know that you weren't present at that meeting, but you say when you came back, you found out and you were just notified that Warrant Officer Sander had been moved to supply chain management, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But you were involved in the investigation of the serious allegations of corruption against him. That flowed from there was this letter that placed him on temporary placement at support services pending the outcome of an investigation. You did have a role to play in that process, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and what was your role?
I will receive the progress report from Colonel Mjali and prepare the same for the provincial head, who will then send it to national office.
Okay. Now, I want you to bear in mind that the date of that letter is the 13th of February, 2024. And then I want you to go to page 1004 of the exhibit bundle. It should be either in the second or third file. 1004. It's one of the new exhibits.
You don't know what's on the spine.
I think it would say exhibit bundle 3, Chair.
Thank you.
Or Gavin, I think Gavin Jacob, it was marked incorrectly, but it's number 3.
And you said page?
1004.
Thank you.
It's exhibit CJC 282. Do you have it, Brigadier?
That's correct, Commissioners.
Okay. We have redacted the email, but this is the email correspondence, and you will see at the foot of 1003. There's an email from General Libya on the 5th of February 2024 at 1826 to General Sonona. Do you see that?
Yes, I see that, Commissioners.
And it's subject forward corruption within the police, and it says, "Good afternoon, General." And then on page 1004, by direction of the national head, kindly find attached matter for your attention and feedback. Your office is kindly requested to further engage the complainant. Kindly provide feedback by the 23rd of February 2024, respectfully, and then it's signed, but it comes from the office of the national head, General Libya. And if you look at the bottom of page 1004, so what he forwards to General Sonona is the complaint that had been received regarding a Warrant Officer Sander. And it says, I won't mention the name of where it came from. It says to General Libya, and it says corruption within the SAFs. I write this email to inform the police of what corruption their police members are in, and then follows the allegations against Warrant Officer Carl Sanders from the Durban Serious Crime Unit. He is highly connected with the criminal underworld dealing in cocaine. Now, What follows this is then General Labia saying to General Sinona, he must please give him a report by the 23rd of February 2024. And then if we go back to 1003, just above the email that I had just read of 5 February, you'll see General Sinona responds on the 6th of February to General Labia saying, good afternoon, General Labia, your email is hereby acknowledged. And then if you scroll up to the first email, General Sinona to General Labia on the 29th of February 2024. He says, good day, General, please find the attached progress for your attention. This office apologizes for the delay. So he appears to be sending a progress report on the 29th of February 2024. In your statement, you say you don't know what that report or progress report would have been, but you do know that at this stage, they weren't able to find the complainant in order to interview the complainant.
I do not know whether there is a letter from NPA.
Yes, I'm going to get to that later. I'm just asking about the progress report here. Do you know what General Sinona would have reported back to General Labia on the 29th of February 2024 regarding progress? Okay.
I don't know.
Now, if we can go to the NPA letter, that is at 1001 of the same bundle. And that you will see is dated the 13th of February 2024. But on the second page, 1002, it has another date, 21 February 2024. So we don't know when it was actually sent. But it is from the NPA, and it appears to be to the complainant. And the subject line says complaint in respect of Detective Warrant Officer Sander, and then it gives an inquiry number. It says investigating officer Lieutenant Colonel Mshali, DPCI Portshepstone, as you indicated. And then it says, we refer to the above complaint which you addressed to the Directorate of Priority Crime Investigations Head Office via email dated 5 February 2024. The matter was assigned to Lieutenant Colonel Mshali, the DPCI Portshepstone, and then it gives his number. And then it says, during a meeting held at our office on 13 February 2024, Lieutenant Colonel Mshali briefed Advocate Harrison of this office about the allegations, and the content of your email was discussed. The email seems to suggest that you might have more information about the other parties mentioned and the finer details regarding corruption involved. It was suggested that a meeting be arranged with you to obtain the details of your complaints so that each allegation may be investigated thoroughly. Kindly contact Lieutenant Colonel Mshali telephonically so that he can facilitate the meeting. Then we got the email from General Sinona on the 29th of February. We don't see any letter report suggesting that there was an investigation and that by the 13th of February 2024, General Sinona was in a position to place Warrant Officer Sander on temporary placement to supply chain management. You haven't seen anything that would have, other than what you see now, that would have been a motivation for him to move Warrant Officer Sander at that stage?
Commissioner, it's hard for me because I wasn't around at work. And if I perhaps see the inquiry where the investigator was writing in his diary as to what the steps were followed to secure the complainant, whether he responded and what report was forwarded to head, I will be able to answer this.
No, but what I'm saying is that on the 13th of February, they're still trying to get hold of the complainant. There hadn't yet been a meeting with the complainant according to the NPA.
Yes.
So the report, when General Sinona meets with the Warrant Officer Sander on the 13th of February and places him on temporary placement to supply chain management, there's no indication that the complainant had yet been consulted. that they had interviewed the complainant?
It will appear so, but
Yes.
I wasn't there.
Well, you were involved in verifying progress reports that were submitted to General Sinona.
Yes.
In any of your reports, did you record any interaction with the complainant and whether the complainant verified this information?
I don't recall.
Well, did you ever speak to the complainant? Did you ever speak to anyone who had spoken to the complainant?
I don't think the complainant was ever found.
Yes, that's what I'm asking you. So on the 13th of February, when General Sinona places Warrant Officer Sander on temporary placement at Supply Chain Management, there's no interview that had been had with the complainant. All that he had was that complaint that General Labia had sent to him on the 5th of February saying, here's the complaint, please engage with the complainant. I took you to that email. Is
I
that
agree
correct?
with you.
And then when you get involved, so you come back and you get told that Warrant Officer Sander had been moved.
Yes.
What was your attitude towards his movement, given that he was a member of your team?
I was shown this letter and I looked at the letter and there were serious allegations. So I did not object to the decision taken to remove him.
Okay. And at what point does the investigation get finalized into the serious allegations of serious corruption?
I think the last letter was in 25 March.
That is March 2025. So if we can go to that information note on page 993 of the bundle. And you will tell me where there is a finding made or an outcome insofar as that investigation is concerned. The investigation that emanated from that email of 5 February 2024. So do you have the information note?
Yes, I do.
And if we go to page 998, page 998, you will see that the information note was verified by you. It was prepared by, what is AC? ACND Shangase. What does the AC stand for?
Admin clerk.
Okay, so the admin clerk Shangase, and you verified it. So you satisfied yourself with the information that was contained in this information note,
Yes.
correct? On page 998, because you have, that's your name on there.
Yes.
And you confirm that you verified the note.
Yes. I confirm.
Okay. We're on page 993 now, which is, do you have it?
Yes, I do.
So that's the information note addressed to the national head. And it is about, it's a progress report. And you say the purpose of the information note is to give feedback to the national head of GPCI on the inquiry. And then background, you say the inquiry was registered and assigned to Mchali, and then for further investigation. Then you talk about the email being received at paragraph 2.2 and 2.3, the target person of interest Warrant Officer Sanders profiling revealed that he has 12 different caliber of firearms registered on his name, license holder. Then it says he serves in a position of director, at least one entity, and a request for information on his entity was forwarded to Financial Intelligence Center. 2.5, a meeting was held with Advocate Harrison from Director of Public Prosecution in Durban on the 13th of February 2024. The matter was discussed in length, and Advocate Harrison indicated that she would discuss the matter further with her superiors. On the 20th of February 2024, a telephonic conversation was conducted with Advocate Vani Govender, Head of Organized Crime at Durban DPP office, and she suggested that the matter should be referred to Peter Marisburg DPP's office because Durban office has other matters involving the target. So the target being Warrant Officer Sander. And that other matter would be the one that you had referred to, which was the DPCI judge complaint from 2023, where he's not mentioned.
Yes.
That's correct. So it's that one that's been referred to.
Yes, Commissioners.
Okay, then if we can go to 2.8, on the 21st of February 2024, Advocate Harrison contacted the investigating officer telephonically and informed him that the matter has been registered at her office. Then we get to evidence obtained. 3.1, investigation revealed thus far that Warrant Officer Carl Sander is linked to an entity named where he holds position as a director, and gives the registration number and the other members. And then it says at on the next page, 995, it mentions again things related to the shooting club. And 4, final analysis by FIC. Based on the financial intelligence gathered, it was deduced that the subject requests have financial footprints with various banking institutions in South Africa, as noted in Annexure A. Then it says open source searches reveals that the subject could be linked to one business entity and could also be linked to 3 individuals. Intelligence also revealed that the subject could be linked to 1 vehicle and 1 immovable property. 5, recommendation by FIC. In line with the findings and analysis of the FIC report, following recommendations are to be considered. That this request be scrutinized for further investigation on possible criminal and/or illegal activities perpetrated by the subjects based on the information outlined in this report, and to identify additional suspects that may be involved in such activity. The results in respect of the confirmation of a business relationship obtained in terms of Section 27 of FIC was incorporated into the report. The subjects have been flagged on FIC database in order to advise the police immediately should they receive any other relevant reports in the future. In the findings by the FIC received no suspicious and unusual transaction or activity reports with reference to Section 29 of the FIC Act related to the subject Carl Sander. FIC received no cash threshold reports with reference to Section 28 of the FIC Act. 6.3 CTRs refer to reports on transaction, i.e. cash received or paid by the institution in excess of the threshold amount of 49,999, where there are transaction exceeding the threshold amount, the institution must file a CTR with the FIC. No unusual or suspicious transactions found on the suspect's bank account records obtained through Section 205. Outcome of the investigation. The information received from DPCI Risk and Integrity Management at the head office, as per request through a subpoena in terms of Section 205 of the Criminal Procedure Act, revealed that Warrant Officer Carl Sander did not apply for remunerative work. Investigation revealed that Warrant Officer Sander holds a portion of directorship at the shooting club and was incorporated on the 16th of April 2019. Current status, 8.1, disciplinary case, DPCI KZN DR 04-2024 was registered and investigated. The employee was found guilty of not disclosing that he was a director of a shooting club. Sanction was verbal warning dated 10 March 2025, and it's signed by Major General Provincial Head, Director for Priority Crime Investigation, L.S. Sonona. Now, okay. In all of that,
may I clarify this?
Yes, please do.
I signed this letter on behalf of General Snow.
Yes, okay. Now, in all of that, where is the outcome of the investigation emanating from the 5 February 2024 email by a whistleblower to General Labia?
Remember, they were talking about him living life at large. And the investigation, the IO applied through the FIC to check if FIC can pick up anything. And these are the findings of the FIC. So it is incorporated in this report.
Brigadier, the information note starts out by referring to the email that was sent at 2.2, the email that was sent by the complainant.
Yes.
And then the outcome relates to him being a member of a shooting club, not having declared that, and then there's a verbal, there was disciplinary proceedings and he was given a verbal warning. What I'm asking you is, where do you in this information note deal with the allegations contained in the whistleblower's email of 5 February 2024 and give an outcome of those allegations? And it's not enough to say there were allegations that he was living large. The allegations were more serious than that. It was that he was colluding with the drug syndicate. That was the allegations. That is what resulted in him being moved, according to you. And you had no issue with that because the allegations were serious.
I think we should look into all the emails, the info note, because this is the last one. Maybe if we do that, maybe we can find that there was something that.
Were you the author of the other information notes? Because these are the only ones that have been provided to us insofar as the 5 February 2024 complaint is concerned. So if you were the author of those, then you can tell us what those contain. But I would suggest to you that given that this is the one that contains the outcome, that the others probably did not have any more information that this one would have had. Because this one doesn't say that the allegations were ever tested. As far as we can see, the complainant was never located. And for all you know, that email, the complainant may not even exist. It could have just been an attempt to move him, get him to be moved from SANEB, because he was doing a good job, which is what he was saying, that he was stepping on toes and that is why he was being moved.
Sure. I can't answer.
Well, you must answer it because you're the author of this document. This document comes a year after he's been moved from SANEB. So for a year, you don't have one of your most effective investigators on drug busts. And you are okay with that, and you prepare a note, which ultimately the outcome is that a disciplinary hearing has already been had. He's been found guilty of not disclosing that he's a member of a shooting club and that he gets a verbal warning.
I just want to check if there were other things that were not given to the commission.
Okay. Whilst you're doing that, can I ask you, were you ever able to verify the allegations contained in the 5 February 2024 email by the whistleblower to General Labia? You ever able to verify those allegations that Warrant Officer Sander was colluding with a drug syndicate?
According to my information, we could not.
Why did you not put that in the report, in the information note?
I'm just looking.
Maybe just give him a chance to look at the notes he's looking at, then he can answer the question after.
Because I see another info note here dated 2024-07-15, which was signed by my provincial head. But I don't think the.
I don't think you've given that to us. You haven't given that one to us.
Does it answer the question that was asked by Advocate Nyuswa?
It really does not.
Because if it does not, then it is of no use.
Yes. This would have helped me if I had the inquiry itself. But unfortunately, when I called, the IO told me that the inquiry was filed and it hasn't moved.
The IO would be Warrant Officer Mchali.
Kennedy Mchali.
He's a colonel.
But the question was, sitting here today, are you aware whether the inquiry was closed? Do you know what the outcome is? Because the complaint from the complainant was specific. And the document on 993, other than what is stated in 2.2, does not say what became of that complaint.
There's another one too. There's nothing being said about the complaint.
And so in March 2025, you submitted that report to the information note to General Sinona.
Yes, but there are other reports that I'm seeing here that were signed by Kennedy Mchali and General Sinona himself.
Okay, you can give that to us later, but for now, I just want to find out, because you say in your statement that the investigation was finalized in March 2025. By investigation, you mean the investigation emanating from the 5 February 2024 email. Is that the investigation you're referring to?
Yes, I'm referring to the whole investigation regarding the letter the email that was received.
Yes. So if I understand what you're saying is that email is received, an investigation is conducted, you can't get hold of the complainant, but in the course of the investigation, you uncover whoever's investigating uncovers that there is this non-compliance where he hasn't declared his directorship in the shooting club. A disciplinary hearing is held, he's found guilty, and his sanction is a verbal warning. That's the sum total of it.
Yes.
Okay. And then why does he not get moved back to Seneb at the end of this investigation?
After this last letter, it is then that we moved it. But
Sorry, Brigadier, we can't hear you. Just move closer to the
after this letter that the commission has, it is then that we move into EPR on the instruction by General Sinon.
Yes, but my question is, why is he not moved back to Seneb?
It was a decision by the provincial head that he does not go to Sanap, he must go to EPR, and I comply.
Do you know why?
I think his reasoning were based on this, but on this email, plus the other one that came on the 2022, that's all I can think of. Because I went to him and I said, let's take this member back. And he said to me, it's fine, but he must go to Sanap. Excuse me,
To
economic,
EPR.
EPR, protected resources.
Did you ask him for Warrant Officer Sander to go back to Seneb? Did you ask General Sinona
No,
for Warrant Officer Sander to go back to SANEP? It's very specific.
No, I said, when I say the member must go back, because he was from SANEP. So I meant that he must go back to SANEP. And then he said to me, no, he must go to EPR. And then I communicated that with Sander.
Did General Sinona give you a reason as to why he can go to EPR but not to SANEP?
No,
And you
I
didn't?
didn't ask him to.
Okay.
I complied.
Now, you know that Warrant Officer Sander says it's because he was stepping on toes because he was making all those drug busts. Do you have a comment on that?
I heard him saying that. I have no comment on that.
You must also have heard him say that he laid complaints against certain officers about loss of exhibits. And he placed a document before us and he said you were aware, those were addressed to you.
Yes.
And as far as he's aware, only action was taken against only the one person and nothing was done about the other officers, who included Colonel Jacob and other names that I don't remember. And he gave that as part of the reasons why he had been treated the way that he was, following this complaint that didn't go anywhere. Do you care to comment about that? You received the complaint. What did you do about it? Why did you not do anything about it if you did not?
Maybe if I look at the complaint, because I know there were a lot of DRs that were open there in that office.
DR is what?
It's a disciplinary regulation. We call it, when we discipline a member, it calls a DR.
Yes.
Yes.
And you're saying based on his reports or his complaint, because I'm asking specific to his complaint in the context of this discussion you are having with the evidence leader, that he says he stepped on people's toes but he thinks it's because he was making these busts and therefore stepping on people's toes. And then I'm adding that in addition to that, he laid complaints against certain officers and those were delivered to you.
To me.
Yes. I think he was asked a specific question. Was Brigadier Nyuswa aware of this? And he said, yes, he would have been aware of these complaints. And if you say you never became aware.
No, I know, sorry to come interject you. There were complaints that were brought to my office and there were investigations that were done. And there were people that were charged. Remember, the investigation, it would be assigned to the disciplinary investigator and he will say, this so and so and so and so must be charged. And I remember that warrant officer, the female warrant officer, there was also warrant officer, he is now a captain retired, I think Freeze was also charged to those complaints.
So are you saying the complaints that Warrant Officer Sander testified to as having been fired, that you acted on all of those? Is it your evidence?
Yes. Did he send them to me or it came through the channels? Because I will receive something from Colonel Jacob and then also report to the provincial head, and then the functionaries will be appointed to investigate.
Yes. I think he was asked a specific question. Did Brigadier Nyuswa become aware of these complaints? And his answer was yes, he did become aware of them.
I don't remember receiving anything direct from him.
Okay. Thank you.
It would have been, he submitted it to Sabia. I think he was a captain at the time, or Sabia, and then from there he said that you became aware of the of the complaints.
Yeah. But there is no complaint that came to my office and we did not act on it.
Okay. Now, you say you joined as the acting provincial commander in April 2020.
That's correct.
When you joined, were you aware of the allegations against Lieutenant Colonel Jacob that were similar to the allegations that were later made against Warrant Officer Sander, that he was colluding with a drug cartel? Were you aware of that, and that there was an IPID investigation against Lieutenant Colonel Jacob?
No.
Okay. Were you aware that he had been moved from SANAB during that investigation until the investigation was finalized?
I know that he was once placed at commercial crime, serious commercial crime.
Yes, and it was pending the outcome of that investigation. And when that investigation was finalized, he was moved back to SANAB. Were you aware of that? It's fine if you weren't aware of it. You just came into the position in April
Okay.
2020.
No.
This would have occurred in 2019. But
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I do
That's why I said when you joined there, were you aware of these allegations?
No,
Okay. So was there any reason why Warrant Officer Sander should not have gone back to SANAB at the conclusion of the investigation? I would suggest even earlier than March 2025, most probably in July of 2024, based on that information note that you have there that we haven't seen, but that he should have gone back to SANAB at the conclusion of the investigation.
It was a decision of my superior.
Brigadier, my apologies. I'm not asking you about the decision of your superior. I'm asking for your opinion. Do you agree that there was no reason why he should not have gone back to SANAB in March 2025, based on what you knew, because you were involved in that process?
No, I don't see a reason.
Sorry?
I said I don't see a reason why you should have not been placed back to SANAB.
But you did nothing to ensure that he goes back.
Because I was following orders.
Okay. And this was somebody, whilst he was in your team, he was a good investigator. He was one of the best investigators you had at the time, correct? Insofar as drug busts are concerned.
Yes.
Okay. And when General Sinona says he's not going back to SANAB, you know that there's no justifiable reason why he shouldn't go back to SANAB. You just agree with the decision to send him to EPR.
I sent him to EPR, but again, equally so, I asked him to do a very sensitive investigation for me there, because other investigators were not taking it anywhere, and he's still doing it. And he has progressed a lot on that investigation.
Can I just say, Brigadier, that you are the head,
Yes.
and Sanders falls under you. A complaint or an allegation was made against him. It went nowhere. You are confident enough to recommend that he should be reinstated to SANAB. I struggle with your presenting the position as if you don't have the ability to advocate for your members. You know your members, the members in your team. You know their strengths.
Yes.
You know where you are short of resources. And this idea that you are presenting, that you have absolutely no say. General Sinona runs the show however he wishes, to a point where he can move people around without you having a word at all, even making a suggestion or advocating. It's difficult considering the seniority of your position. I mean, he's the overall head, General Sinona. There's no question about that. But he has different, I think you've said commanders, commanders?
Provincial commanders.
Yes, who report to him. So he's not the be-all and end-all of everything. He relies on you. you are presenting, and consistently about this operation, you first the operation in Portshepstone, but now in this conversation, you are presenting the impression that you have absolutely no say. It's one thing to say, I did motivate and I did have the discussion that I think he should return to SANEP for reason A, B, C, D. And General Sinona, well, he makes the final decision and is finally accountable, overruled my recommendation. That's a different scenario than having someone of your seniority who says, well, I was following instructions. I said the man should be returned, and I don't know for what reason General Sinona decided he must go to EPR, but hey, it was an instruction and there was nothing more I could say. Never mind do. I'm not even saying do, I'm saying say about it. Then it raises questions about the effectiveness of these positions of leadership. If after all, someone in General Sinona's position, and that not just him, I'm not being personal to him, but if someone who holds that position after all makes all the decisions and doesn't get any input and assistance from his middle management or executive management, because that's what you are, then it raises questions about the effectiveness of that structure. If not the structure, then of the people that get appointed to those positions. Do you want to comment about it? Is this something that we should be worried about, or we just don't understand how things work in the SAPs, or how they are designed to work, in fact?
I think in my first statement that I read this morning, paragraph 13, the commissioners will find the answer there.
There you say General Sinona just
Page 4.
does as he wishes. You say paragraph?
13.
Okay. He was not someone who consulted when he made decisions. Is that what you're referring to? So it's really the person, not necessarily the organization and the structure that is problematic. It is that you have that kind of person in the position.
Yes, and I think other colleagues from my province in the TPCI can concur with me.
Thank you.
Brigadier, my concern is about you. You did not even ask for a reason. I understand that General Sinona makes his own decisions. He does not consult. But Sender comes to you and says, I want to go back. You communicate his request to General Sinona. General Sinona says, no, he must go to the economic crime section. You don't ask why, because he's more effective at SANEP. So this is on you, because you were asked, do you know why? And sitting here today, you don't know, you don't have a reason, which means you did not even inquire for yourself so that you are informed and you are aware what the reasons are. You just accepted that a decision was made and you left it there.
Commissioner, as I have stated in paragraph 13 of page 4 of my statement, it's very difficult to engage with someone whom you know you're not going to win.
No, but you did not even try. You see, that's my concern. A request was made to you.
Yes.
You passed it on to General Sinona. He makes a decision which is contrary to the request. Now, if you had to give feedback to Sender and he asked you, what is the reason? You would have nothing to say to him because you did not make the inquiry. And that's really my concern.
Yeah.
And Commissioner Baloy's point, people in your leadership, without being insubordinate, just to understand the reason for the decision, making those inquiries is important. And even motivating for members of your team. I had understood, and I could be wrong, I had understood from Sander's evidence that in some instances when he applied for a promotion, you actually supported it. And ultimately he was unsuccessful, but you did motivate that he should be promoted to a particular role. So even here, it makes me wonder whether you simply made a request to General Sinona or you actually motivated for his return to SANEP. Because those are two different things. Simply making a request and strongly supporting and motivating something are two completely different things.
I hear you, commissioners.
You take the point, or do you want to disagree with me? Nothing I say is gospel, so if you disagree, you can say, I don't agree with you.
Commissioner Kumar, I hear you.
And Brigadier, just to say that if we go to page 668 of the exhibit bundle, that is not Warrant Officer Sanders' version as to why he actually did eventually return to your section. According to him, it was because he challenged the cancellation of his scarce skills allowance, page 668 of the exhibit bundle. I think it would be, and it is CJC 249. Do you have CJC 249? It is the letter on a SAP's letterhead to the Acting Provincial Commander, Corporate Support Services.
Yes.
It's CJC 249. It's page 667.
649.
CJC 249, and the page number is 667.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you see the letter?
I see this letter.
Yes, it's to the Acting Provincial Commander, Corporate Support Services. Do you see it?
Yes.
If you go to the last page of that letter, it's signed by Warrant Officer Sander on the 15th of July 2025. Do you have it?
Yes.
Okay. Now go back to the letter, to the first page. Cancellation of scarce skills allowance and service allowance. That was his complaint. He says, on 14 July, I received a written notice of cancellation of my scarce skills allowance and service allowance with immediate effect. The reason given being that I'm currently placed at supply chain management in the provincial office and not performing any operational duties. A copy of the notice is attached. And then on the last paragraph, the last page, paragraph 10, he says, I believe that I should be placed back in my position at Durban Serious Organized Crime to perform my usual operational duties as soon as possible with the immediate reinstatement of my scarce skills allowance and service allowance. And he says that is why he was placed in EPR, because he was complaining about his scarce skills allowance and his service allowance, not that they were going to terminate it. There was a notice of intention to terminate it because he was now no longer in operational position, and it was on the basis of that that he was ultimately moved not to SANEP but to EPR, notwithstanding his request to be moved back to his usual operational duties. And that was in July of 2025. So I don't know when you had the discussion with General Sinona after the conclusion of the investigation in March 2025, but by July 2025, Warrant Officer Sander is still in support services and fighting to go back because there's an imminent cancellation of his scarce skills allowance.
My discussion with General Sinona was not in March.
When was it?
I think it was around this time. In July, because Sander started working back in organized in EPR on the 1st of August, if I'm not mistaken, 2025.
So then it could be that, as he says, it's because he was complaining about this, that it was as a compromise that he was moved to EPR, not necessarily your request to General Sinona that he be moved back to your unit.
But I went to General Sinona because these letters are written to support.
Yes. You are no longer his provincial commander,
Yes.
yeah. He's now under somebody else because he's in support services.
But him too, it must be fair that we did, me and him, have a discussion about these things.
Okay, he didn't give that evidence, but he was never probed about it. His evidence was that he got the notice of an intention to suspend his scarce skills allowance. He kicked up a fuss about it, and he saw this as a compromise to send him back to EPR, not to SANAP, so that he wouldn't lose his allowance. Do you want to comment on that?
Like I said, that I did have a conversation with Sanda.
Thank you. Chair, those are the questions from the evidence leaders for the witness.
Meaning you are done.
We're done with.
Brigadier, can we just clarify two things? You may already have given evidence on this, and maybe I did not hear you properly. Let's start with Colonel Jacob. When you are told that he wants to be part of the operation, or CI member has requested that he becomes part of this operation, did it not concern you that he was on leave? And why did you not say, seeing that he's on leave, why can't you get somebody else?
Commissioners, I won't lie. He is an experienced drug investigator. I was happy with him because he was going with warrant officers.
But does that mean there were no experienced drug investigators who were on duty on the day?
There should have been, but I wasn't informed.
Because as it turns out, he was not very experienced, because he said this was the first time he had been to this depot and he had performed this type of operation at that depot.
I think I did explain earlier on that when he came over from DSO, he was working at the drug section. And he was working with a very experienced colonel, who's late now, Colonel Hussein.
Okay. And then, sorry, you're not finished? Please continue.
Yeah. And I would have not known that this was his first. Should I have known, I would have probed to say, but why? Where's Carl? Where's Colonel Kopas? Where? I'm saying he was a captain then. Where's Captain Kopalsami?
Because you seem to have readily accepted that because this CI member wants him, it doesn't matter that he's on leave, he can go and be part of this operation. You seem to have easily accepted that, and you did not even question the motives of those who wanted him specifically.
Yes, commissioners, as I said, because you find that members are comfortable to work with certain people. I even made an example that Carl will work with Kenneth Bucas. And him being asked by this member, which I do not know, I did not see anything wrong.
Can we go to the October incident after Colonel Prinsloo told you specifically that he was concerned about the safety of the exhibits?
Yes.
So you were not just reporting to General Sinona that there has been a break-in. Colonel Prinsloo was specific when he spoke to you. He said he's concerned about the exhibits being there. Did you communicate the second part of that message to General Sinona?
Yes.
Did you tell him that Prinsloo says he's concerned about the exhibits and where they are?
Yes. And then I went further to say I've informed Jacob.
Yes. And then the two of you and General Sinona, all you do is to say to Jacob, expedite the investigation. You take no steps to improve the security, even after Prinsloo has said to you, I'm concerned that these things are no longer safe where they are. So it's a specific concern
Yes.
about the safety of the exhibits. And you don't address the issue of the safety of the exhibits. Instead, you say to Jacob, expedite the investigation, which means you don't address the issue of the safety of the exhibits at all.
I think in my evidence earlier on, I did explain that I was also hands full of the civil unrest matters. And when I've reported to General Sinona and Kenneth Jacob, I thought they would come to my rescue because they knew what I was busy with. Because other people were continuing with their normal duties, and me, I was busy with this.
And it worries me that you didn't write any letters either to National Office or to FSL. You seem to have only made phone calls and you were content with that.
I concede, Commissioners.
Yeah. And this may be your last chance, at least with this commission, to deal with this. Looking back now, do you think there's anything you could have done better?
Of course, yes.
And what is that?
To be very cautious and take a precautionary step. Firstly, I shouldn't have recommended drugs to go to Portshepstone. Secondly, when I was informed of the attempted, I should have at least left the civil unrest matters and focused to say that these drugs must be moved.
But from your earlier answers, it sounds like you couldn't even do that because you keep saying the boss is the one that made the you only recommended, and General Sinona is the one that gave the instruction, creating. And I think I tried to sound this out with you, that you have created the impression that General Sinona, this became General Sinona's matter, basically. He's the one that was giving instructions, he held the key, and effectively liaising with Mbangase. And so you gave that impression. And from that impression, what comes across is you had no further say in the conduct of this investigation and dealing with these exhibits.
Commissioner, I will agree with you because of the other part of the investigation that I was busy with, knowing that General Sinona has the keys and the investigators are there, and they were not even assisting in what I was doing. They were just continuing with their normal duties.
And then lastly, Brigadier, at the end of this process, we must make findings and recommendations. And I raised two issues with you earlier, and you conceded that there was an oversight on your part. The first one was your failure to inquire with the other police stations, especially in Durban, whether they had storage capacity on the 22nd of June. And then the more serious one, which is you and General Sinona arrive at Portshepstone, and you can clearly see that the prescripts are being violated, the way the exhibits are being handled, the way they are being stored, and your failure to take action against members who reported to you on the day. So you allow this culture where people don't comply with the prescripts, and for 5 years you do nothing about it, and people continue doing the same thing over and over again. And it creates this culture where prescripts are just there on paper, nobody complies with them, and people do as they please. And seniors at your level don't do anything about it. They don't take action against those officers. I consider those two to be quite serious, and I want to hear from you in conclusion what your position is on what I've just said, because at the end of the day, we must make recommendations and we need to deal with these issues in the recommendations. So very briefly, is there anything you want to say on the two issues I've raised with you where you considered that there was oversight on your part?
Commissioners, I can't change what has happened. Only thing I can say, I'm sorry to you and the nation.
Not to me, to the nation.
To the nation.
Because these drugs end up in our communities, unfortunately.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Just one last thing is the photographs and the video that we had indicated. We have received communication from the DPCI that the door is being used at a different location. It has been repaired. They've sent us a video as well as pictures, clearer pictures of photographs that were taken of the damage and the cutout, if we could just display it.
Are you going to be raising anything with the Brigadier about that?
It was just from Commissioner Baloy to ask where the door is now and that. So it is being used at a different location and it's been repaired. The cutouts have been
All right.
repaired, as you can see from the photograph there. And then you can show the cutout.
Thank you.
Do they say whether it's being used where they're storing drugs again?
No, they say that the lock doesn't work now, so it's not locked. It's used in a situation where it doesn't
The
require.
repair work doesn't look all that impressive.
It doesn't.
Maybe just to avoid any confusion, it's not suggested this was the mechanism. We don't know that yet, the inside locking mechanism.
No.
I just want to see the outside again, please.
The first one, the weld.
All right, thank you very much.
And then the pictures of the cutouts. And then we'll just show the photographs, Chair, of the cutouts and the scaling that was done with reference to a pencil and a cell phone, I think it was. To show the thickness of the what was cut.
I think
see the
General
thing.
Sinona even mentioned the actual
Measurement.
thickness, yeah. He said what, was it what?
The next one.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Ms. Sigels. Brigadier, thank you very much. You are excused.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Now,
Tomorrow, I think it's Ayrton, Chair, the Ayrton Street.
let's adjourn and resume at 9:30 tomorrow morning.